Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I'll be talking about what the Jets' plan should be if they decide to keep Sam Darnold. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new here. And of course, you can call in to my podcast, which drops every Wednesday, Just Jets, and leave me your question. I'll try to get to it on the show. Also, due to Christmas, I wasn't able to record a Cleveland Browns versus New York Jets preview video. So my plan is to go live at 12 p.m. before the game tomorrow on here, and I will be talking about the game and answering your questions, so make sure to tune in. I know it's going to be a little bit different, but just wanted to give it a shot, and if you guys like it, maybe I'll bring it back for next year. We'll see how it goes. With that said, I hope you guys had a nice holiday. So let's get into the video. So if the Jets decide to stick with Sam Darnold, it is not my preferred plan if they're picking second, but let's just say the Jets are picking second. They don't like Zach Wilson. They don't like Justin Fields, so they're going to stick with Sam Darnold. Here's what I would do to optimize Sam Darnold's possibility of success here with the New York Jets. So we'll start with the coach, and I would really be between two guys for the head coach of the New York Jets if you're sticking with Sam Darnold, and that's Arthur Smith and Brian Daboll. Let me explain. So Arthur Smith did a really good job of helping Ryan Tannehill get out of the hell that was Adam Gase's play calling, Adam Gase's development, and he has really thrived in Tennessee the last 2 years. Now, make note of this, Ryan Tannehill never played as poorly as what Sam Darnold has played with this year. I understand circumstances are different. People tell that to me. I completely understand, but just make a mental note that Sam Darnold was never as bad as what Ryan Tannehill was with Miami. But that being said, Ryan Tannehill has took his game to the next level and is significantly better under Arthur Smith. So I think he could be a guy who could potentially turn around Sam Darnold. And the other guy, Brian Daboll, to me is another good example for what he's done with Josh Allen. What Allen has done over his first 3 years is really remarkable. In his first year, he looked really bad. Year 2 looked a little bit better, still needed some work as a passer, and year 3 is a legitimate MVP candidate. It's crazy to see how quickly he has developed, and sure, Buffalo did a ton to build around this guy, which is exactly what you should do with your quarterback, but even so, I think Daboll has done a great job of putting him in a good situation to succeed. So to me, Smith or Daboll are the guys who I would feel most comfortable with being able to salvage Sam Darnold's career here with the New York Jets. So then we go to free agency. What the heck is the priority there if you're going into free agency? And to me, step one, I'm signing an offensive guard because the interior of the offensive line has been really bad. So one of Joe Thuney or Brandon Sheriff from the Washington football team. I think Sheriff is the one who's most likely to hit the market. He's the 5th rated guard by Pro Football Focus at 83.5. A little bit older than Thuney, but he is phenomenal. Obviously, he had a really good year. Last year was a free agent. It looked like, okay, maybe he could be someone the Jets are in on. He ends up going back to Washington. If he hits the market this year, I think I would break the bank for him in terms of the guard market. I think he would be a great fit. Or Thuney, I don't expect him to get there, but he's a 14th rated guard at a 70.7. A little bit younger. He is absolutely phenomenal, and would either one of those guys are potential all-pro offensive guard or Pro Bowl level offensive guard, which would be a huge improvement. So to me, we're shoring up the offensive line. That's what I'm doing first. Second is looking for a premier wide receiver. You can have pick one of Robinson, Godwin, or Galladay. I like Robinson the best, but to sit here and say that I want to sign Sheriff, who's probably the best guard, or Thuney, who's probably the best guard on the market, and Robinson, I don't know how realistic that is, so I'm giving you multiple options. Thuney and Sheriff for guard, Robinson, Godwin, or Galladay at wide receiver, and that would make your wide receiving trio one of Robinson, Godwin, Galladay as your number one wide receiver, which all three of those guys are a legit number one. Mims and Crowder, that is a very nice receiving core. There's no denying that. And then there's no built-in excuse of who is Sam Darnold throwing to, because that's a really, really good wide receiver trio. Yes, there are better ones in the league, so I don't want to say it doesn't get much better than that, but there's no denying that would be a very good receiving core in the NFL. Okay, so now let's get to the NFL draft. What the heck are the Jets supposed to do with the NFL draft? So they're picking second, let's say, under this circumstances, because they're either going to pick just first or second. If they get number one, of course, Trevor Lawrence is the pick, and that makes life easier. But you're sticking with Sam. What do? Do you trade back and get a bunch of assets? Do you stay there and take somebody? To me, I would stay there and draft Penei Sewell, who is the offensive tackle from Oregon, who looks to be really good. And I think he will transition well to the next level. And the reason why I don't trade back is because he would absolutely be the pick by the Cincinnati Bengals, who are picking 3. And to me, I think I would rather take that shortcut best prospect available there, because you have another first-round pick. You have a second-round pick. You have multiple thirds. You have a ton of draft capital. It's not like they're lacking in that area, so I don't think they're necessarily a team that needs to trade back. And with the amount of needs that they have and the lack of quality talent on this team, I would take best player available, which is Penei Sewell, in that spot. And then with the Seattle pick, let's say they're picking, I don't know, it could be anywhere between 20 to 30, 32. I'm going to say it's probably somewhere in the mid-20s. I'm taking another offensive lineman in that spot, whether it's Wyatt Davis, Creed Humphrey, Elijah Vera Tucker with that Seattle pick, and again, bolstering up that offensive line. And then maybe in the second round, you can go either edge or corner with that top pick, whether it's 33 or 34. And at that point, like, I understand you want to build around your quarterback, but we can't ignore the other needs on this team. Edge is a huge need. Maybe you go a guy like Patrick Jones II, or corner's a huge need. Maybe Asante Samuel Jr. is there. You need help on the defensive side too, so it can't all just be offense. I'm not necessarily going to give you Travis Etienne. I don't think makes it to 33 or 34, but Najee Harris, I don't think I would take in that spot. To me, I would look to address that other area. And then in the third round, I'd take a wide receiver also, just to round out that wide receiver room, because it really lacked depth this year. And they could fill in for wide receiver 4. I don't personally love the idea of bringing back Perryman just because of his injury history. I don't trust him to stay healthy. When he's on the field, he's a decent player, but and if he's your 4th wide receiver, then that's good. But he's very rarely on the field. He rarely plays. So I'd rather move on and draft somebody with a higher upside and a higher ceiling. So that would leave your offensive line as, let's say you have Becton on the left side, Sheriff at guard, McGovern at center. Then you get Wyatt Davis and Penei Sewell on the right side. That's a great offensive line. You go from having last year in 2019 the worst offensive line in football to in 2020 they took a significant step forward. I know some people are still pointing at the offensive line as a major flaw. Yes, it's not great, but to me, they have a legitimate left tackle, which is something they did not have. They have a top 10 left tackle in the league, in my eyes. McGovern will be solid with an improved guard play. Right tackle this year, Fant, I think, has been fine, but if you have a player like Sewell there, you can improve. To me, the guards are the big issue with this 2020 football team, so that's what I'm trying to improve. And taking a Wyatt Davis or any one of those other guys that I listed, they could play guard. Or if you take Humphrey, who's more of a center, then okay, guess what? McGovern can play guard too. So it's a little bit versatile, and Vera Tucker can play tackle or guard. I really like that about him. So you're building up the offensive line. That excuse is out the window. And as I mentioned, let's say it's Galladay. It could be any one of those 3 guys I listed earlier, but let's say it's Galladay, Mims, and Crowder, and then a 3rd-round wide receiver as wide receiver 4. Then the excuses book is out the window, and you can sign a mid-tier running back, maybe like a Jamal Williams is someone I really like a lot, and pair him with Ty Johnson and LaMichael P. Ryan, and probably be more than fine at the running back position. And going into year 4 then with Sam Darnold, every single one of those built-in excuses that we've seen over the last 3 years disappears, because you have the coach who has had the pedigree of turning around quarterbacks and developing quarterbacks. You have the solid offensive line with a legitimate Pro Bowler and potentially all pro on the left side. We know what at the center position with McGovern, he struggled this year because I think the 2 other guards at left guard and right guard are not very good. But I think he would take a step forward with someone who is a potential all-pro at left guard, taking a first-round interior offensive lineman and playing them at the other side, and a prospect like Penei Sewell. Like, that would be a really, really good offensive line. And then that wide receiving group is significantly improved. No more are we throwing to the corpse of Chris Hogan or Jermaine Kearse, or, I mean, insert player here that Sam Darnold has had to throw to over the last 3 years, Jeff Smith, Vincent Smith. Excuses are completely out the window, and then it's on Sam Darnold to figure it out. No, he would not get the 5th-year option, so it would really just be betting on him on that 1-year deal. Is it risky? I would say yes, because you don't know when the next time you're picking at the top of the draft is. So if you have the opportunity to take a Zach Wilson, I would do it. I'm saying if the Jets are deciding to stick with Sam Darnold, okay, I think it's risky, but if you are trying to get it to work out, this plan is probably the best route to go. Really improve that offensive line, really improve that wide receiving core, and pray to God that Sam Darnold finds that what he had in his rookie year and can go back to that and get out of the bad footwork habits, to get out of the bad decision-making habits and find that raw talent. Yes, the raw talent is there. We've seen it in flashes over his first 3 years, but the large production or the large amount of his production that we've seen over the 3 years has been underwhelming for what we thought he was going to be. He took a little bit of a step forward from year 1 to year 2, but then a massive, and I'm talking massive, step back in year 3, which is why I'm nervous about him going into his 4th year. But again, if you are, or if Joe Douglas and the Jets are sticking with Sam Darnold, then this is the plan that I would put into place to get the most out of him. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm Matt O'Leary. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.